Nec tantum proderi vati, quantum scire licet. Venet aetas omnis in unam congerium, miserumque premunt tot saecula pectus. Lucan, Fars, verse 176. How wonderful is death, death and his brother sleep. One pale as yonder wan and horned moon, with lips of lurid blue, the other glowing like the vital morn. When throned on ocean's wave, it breathes over the world, yet both so passing strange and wonderful. Hath then the iron-sceptred skeleton, whose reign is in the tainted sepulchres, to the hell-dogs that couch beneath his throne cast that fair prey? Must that divinest form, which love and admiration cannot view without a beating heart, whose azure veins steal like dark streams along a field of snow, whose outline is as fair as marble clothed in light of some sublimest mind, decay? Nor putrefaction's breath leave aught of this pure spectacle, but loathsomeness and ruin. Spare aught but a dark theme, on which the lightest heart might moralize. Or is it but that downy-winged slumbers have charmed their nurse coy silence near her lids to watch their own repose? Will they, when morning's beam flows through those wells of light, seek far from noise and day some western cave, where woods and streams with soft and pausing winds a lulling murmur weave? Ianthe doth not sleep, the dreamless sleep of death, nor in her moonlit chamber silently doth Henry hear her regular pulses throb, or mark her delicate cheek with interchange of hues mock the broad moon, outwatching weary night, without assured reward. Her dewy eyes are closed, on their translucent lids whose texture fine scarce hides the dark blue orbs that burn below with unapparent fire. The baby Sleep is pillowed, her golden tresses shade the bosom's stainless pride, twining like tendrils of the parasite around a marble column. Hark, whence that rushing sound? 'Tis like a wondrous strain that sweeps around a lonely ruin, when west winds sigh and evening waves respond in whispers from the shore. 'Tis wilder than the unmeasured notes which from the unseen lyres of dells and groves the genie of the breezes sweep. Floating on waves of music and of light, the chariot of the demon of the world descends in silent power. Its shape reposed within, slight as some cloud that catches but the palest tinge of day when evening yields to night, bright as that fibrous woof when stars endue its transitory robe. 4 shapeless shadows, bright and beautiful, draw that strange car of glory. Rains of light check their unearthly speed. They stop and fold their wings of braided air. The demon leaning from the ethereal car gazed on the slumbering maid. Human eye hath ne'er beheld a shape so wild, so bright, so beautiful, as that which o'er the maiden's charmed sleep, waving a starry wand, hung like a mist of light. Such sounds as breathed around like odorous winds of wakening spring arose, filling the chamber and the moonlit sky. Maiden, the world's supremest spirit, beneath the shadow of her wings, folds all thy memory doth inherit from ruin of divinest thing. Feelings that lure thee to betray, and light of thoughts that pass away. For thou hast earned a mighty boon, the truth which wisest poets see dimly, thy mind may make its own, rewarding its own majesty, entranced in some diviner mood of self-oblivious solitude. Custom and faith and power thou spurnest, from hate and awe thy heart is free. Ardent and pure as day thou burnest for dark and cold mortality. A living light to cheer it long, the watchfires of the world among. Therefore, from nature's inner shrine, where gods and fiends in worship bend, majestic spirit, be it thine, the flame to seize, the veil to rend. Where the vast snake eternity in charmed sleep doth ever lie. All that inspires thy voice of love, or speaks in thy unclosing eyes, or through thy frame doth burn or move, or think or feel, awake, arise. Spirit, leave for mine and me earth's unsubstantial mimicry. It ceased, and from the mute and moveless frame a radiant spirit arose, all beautiful in naked purity. Robed in its human hues, it did ascend, disparting as it went the silver clouds. It moved towards the car and took its seat beside the demon shape. Obedient to the sweep of airy song, the mighty ministers unfurled their prismy wings. The magic car moved on. The night was fair, innumerable stars studded heaven's dark blue vault. The eastern wave grew pale with the first smile of morn. The magic car moved on. From the swift sweep of wings, the atmosphere in flaming sparkles flew, and where the burning wheels eddied above the mountain's loftiest peak, was traced a line of lightning. Now far above a rock, the utmost verge of the wide earth, it flew, the rival of the Andes, whose dark brow frowned o'er the silver sea. Far, far below the chariot's stormy path, calm as a slumbering babe, tremendous ocean lay. Its broad and silent mirror gave to view the pale and waning stars, the chariot's fiery track, and the gray light of morn tinging those fleecy clouds that cradled in their folds the infant dawn. The chariot seemed to fly through the abyss of an immense concave, radiant with million constellations, tinged with shades of infinite color, and semicircled with a belt flashing incessant meteors. As they approached their goal, the winged shadows seemed to gather speed. The sea no longer was distinguished. Earth appeared a vast and shadowy sphere, suspended in the black concave of heaven, with the sun's cloudless orb, whose rays of rapid light parted around the chariot's swifter course, and fell like ocean's feathery spray, dashed from the boiling surge before a vessel's prow. The magic car moved on. Earth's distant orb appeared, the smallest light that twinkles in the heavens, whilst round the chariot's way innumerable systems widely rolled, and countless spheres diffused an ever-varying glory. It was a sight of wonder. Some were horned, and like the moon's Argentine crescent hung in the dark dome of heaven. Some did shed a clear mild beam like Hesperus, while the sea yet glows with fading sunlight. Others dashed athwart the night with trains of bickering fire, like sphered worlds to death and ruin driven. Some shone like stars, and as the chariot passed, bedimmed all other light. Spirit of nature, here in this interminable wilderness of worlds, at whose involved immensity even soaring fancy staggers, here is thy fitting temple. Yet not the lightest leaf that quivers to the passing breeze is less instinct with thee, yet not the meanest worm that lurks in graves and fattens on the dead, less shares thy eternal breath. Spirit of nature, thou imperishable as this glorious scene, here is thy fitting temple. If solitude hath ever led thy steps to the shore of the immeasurable sea, and thou hast lingered there until the sun's broad orb seemed resting on the fiery line of ocean, Thou must have marked the braided webs of gold that without motion hang over the sinking sphere. Thou must have marked the billowy mountain clouds, edged with intolerable radiancy, towering like rocks of jet above the burning deep. And yet there is a moment when the sun's highest point appears like a star o'er ocean's western edge, when those far clouds of feathery purple gleam like fairylands girt by some heavenly sea. Then has thy rapt imagination soared, where in the midst of all existing things, the temple of the mightiest Daemon stands. Yet not the golden islands that gleam amid yon flood of purple light, nor the feathery curtains that canopy the sun's resplendent couch, nor the burnished ocean waves paving that gorgeous dome, so fair, so wonderful a sight as the eternal temple could afford. The elements of all that human thought can frame of lovely or sublime did join to rear the fabric of the fane, nor aught of earth may image forth its majesty. Yet likest evening's vault that fairy hall, as heaven low resting on the wave, it spread its floors of flashing light, its vast and azure dome. And on the verge of that obscure abyss where crystal battlements o'erhang the gulf of the dark world, 10,000 spheres diffuse their luster through its adamantine gates. The magic car no longer moved. The demon and the spirit entered the eternal gates. Those clouds of airy gold that slept in glittering billows beneath the azure canopy with the ethereal footsteps trembled not. While slight and odorous mists floated to strains of thrilling melody through the vast columns and the pearly shrines, the demon and the spirit approached the overhanging battlement. Below lay stretched the boundless universe. The demon and the spirit approached the overhanging battlement. Below lay stretched the boundless universe. There, far as the remotest line that limits swift imagination's flight, unending orbs mingled in mazy motion, immutably fulfilling eternal nature's law. Above, below, around, the circling systems formed a wilderness of harmony. Each with undeviating aim and eloquent silence through the depths of space pursued its wondrous way. A while the spirit paused in ecstasy, yet soon she saw, as the vast sphere swept by, strange things within their belted orbs appear. Like animated frenzies, dimly moved shadows and skeletons and fiendly shapes, thronging round human graves and o'er the dead sculpturing records for each memory in verse, such as malignant gods pronounce, blasting the hopes of men, when heaven and hell confounded burst in ruin o'er the world. And they did build vast trophies, instruments of murder, human bones, barbaric gold, skins torn from living men, and towers of skulls with sightless holes gazing on blinder heaven. Mitres and crowns and brazen chariots stained with blood, and scrolls of mystic wickedness, the sanguine codes of venerable crime. The likeness of a throned king came by, when these had passed, bearing upon his brow a threefold crown. His countenance was calm, his eye severe and cold, but his right hand was charged with bloody coin, and he did gnaw by fits with secret smiles, a human heart concealed beneath his robe, and motley shapes, a multitudinous throng, around him knelt. With bosoms bare and bowed heads, and false looks of true submission as the sphere rolled by, brooking no eye to witness their foul shame, which human hearts must feel, while human tongues tremble to speak. They did rage, horribly, breathing in self-contempt fierce blasphemies against the demon of the world, and high hurling their armed hands where the pure spirit serene and inaccessibly secure, stood on an isolated pinnacle. The flood of ages combating below, the depth of the unbounded universe above, and all around necessity's unchanging harmony. The Demon of the World, Part 2. O happy earth, reality of heaven, to which those restless powers that ceaselessly throng through the human universe aspire, thou consummation of all mortal hope. Thou glorious prize of blindly working will, whose rays diffused throughout all space and time verge to one point and blend forever there, of purest spirits thou pure dwelling place. Where care and sorrow, impotence and crime, languor, disease, and ignorance dare not come, O happy earth, reality of heaven. Genius has seen thee in her passionate dreams and dim forebodings of thy loveliness. Haunting the human heart, have there entwined those rooted hopes, that the proud power of evil shall not forever on this fairest world shake pestilence and war, or that his slaves with blasphemy for prayer and human blood for sacrifice before his shrine forever in adoration bend, or Erebus with all its banded fiends shall not uprise to overwhelm in envy and revenge the dauntless and the good, who dare to hurl defiance at his throne, girt though it be with death's omnipotence. Thou hast beheld his empire, for the present and the past. It was a desolate sight. Now gaze on mine, futurity. Thou hoary giant Time, render thou up thy half-devoured babes, and from the cradles of eternity where millions lie lulled to their portion sleep by the deep murmuring stream of passing things, tear thou that gloomy shroud. Spirit, behold thy glorious destiny. The spirit saw the vast frame of the renovated world smile in the lap of chaos, and the sense of hope through her fine texture did suffuse such varying glow, as summer evening casts on undulating clouds and deepening lakes. Like the vague sighings of a wind at even, that wakes the wavelets of the slumbering sea and dies on the creation of its breath, and sinks and rises, fails and swells by fits, was the sweet stream of thought that with wild motion flowed o'er the spirit's human sympathies. The mighty tide of thought had paused a while, which from the demon now like ocean's stream again began to pour. To me is given the wonders of the human world to keep, space, matter, time, and mind. Let the sight renew and strengthen all thy failing hope. All things are recreated, and the flame of consentaneous love inspires all life. The fertile bosom of the earth gives suck to myriads who still grow beneath her care, rewarding her with their pure perfectness. The balmy breathings of the wind inhale her virtues and diffuse them all abroad. Health floats amid the gentle atmosphere, glows in the fruits, and mantles on the stream. No storms deform the beaming brow of heaven, nor scatter in the freshness of its pride the foliage of the undecaying trees. But fruits are ever ripe, flowers ever fair, and autumn proudly bears her matron grace, kindling a flush on the fair cheek of spring, whose virgin bloom beneath the ruddy fruit reflects its tint and blushes into love. The habitable earth is full of bliss. Those wastes of frozen billows that were hurled by everlasting snowstorms round the poles, where matter dared not vegetate nor live, but ceaseless frost round the vast solitude bound its broad zone of stillness, are unloosed. And fragrant zephyrs there from spicy isles ruffle the placid ocean deep, that rolls its broad bright surges to the sloping sand, whose roar is wakened into echoing sweet, to murmur through the heaven-breathing groves, and melodize with man's blessed nature there. The vast tract of the parched and sandy waste now teems with countless rills and shady woods, cornfields and pastures and white cottages, and where the startled wilderness did hear a savage conqueror stained in kindred blood, hymning his victory, or the milder snake crushing the bones of some frail antelope within his brazen folds, the dewy lawn, offering sweet incense to the sunrise, smiles to see a babe before his mother's door, share with the green and golden basilisk that comes to lick his feet, his morning's meal. Those trackless deeps where many a weary sail has seen above the illimitable plain, morning on night and night on morning rise, while still no land to greet the wanderer spread its shadowy mountains on the sunbright sea. Where the loud roarings of the tempest waves so long have mingled with the gusty wind in melancholy loneliness, and swept the desert of those ocean solitudes, but vocal to the seabird's harrowing shriek, the bellowing monster, and the rushing storm, now to the sweet and many mingling sounds of kindliest human impulses respond. Those lonely realms bright garden aisles begem, with lightsome clouds and shining seas between, and fertile valleys resonant with bliss, whilst green woods over canopy the wave, which like a toil-worn laborer leaps to shore, to meet the kisses of the flowerets there. The man-chief perceives the change, his being notes the gradual renovation, and defines each movement of its progress on his mind. Man, where the gloom of the long polar night lowered o'er the snow-clad rocks and frozen soil, where scarce the hardiest herb that braves the frost basked in the moonlight's ineffectual glow, shrank with the plants, and darkened with the night. Nor where the tropics bound the realms of day with a broad belt of mingling cloud and flame, where blue mists through the unmoving atmosphere scattered the seeds of pestilence, and fed unnatural vegetation, where the land teemed with all earthquake, tempest, and disease, was man a nobler being. Slavery had crushed him to his country's blood-stained dust. Even where the milder zone afforded man a seeming shelter, yet contagion there, blighting his being with unnumbered ills, spread like a quenchless fire. Nor truth availed till late to arrest its progress, or create that peace which first in bloodless victory waved her snowy standard o'er this favored clime. There man was long the train-bearer of slaves, the mimic of surrounding misery, the jackal of ambition's lion rage, the bloodhound of religion's hungry zeal. Here now the human being stands, adorning this loveliest earth with taintless body and mind, blessed from his birth with all bland impulses, which gently in his noble bosom wake all kindly passions and all pure desires. Him still from hope to hope the bliss pursuing, which from the exhaustless lore of human weal dawns on the virtuous mind, the thoughts that rise in time, destroying infiniteness, gift with self-enshrined eternity, that mocks the unprevailing hoariness of age. And man, once fleeting o'er the transient scene, swift as an unremembered vision, stands immortal upon earth. No longer now. He slays the beast that sports around his dwelling and horribly devours its mangled flesh, or drinks its vital blood, which like a stream of poison through his fevered veins did flow, feeding a plague that secretly consumed his feeble frame, and kindling in his mind hatred, despair, and fear and vain belief, the germs of misery, death, disease, and crime. No longer now the winged habitants that in the woods their sweet lives sing away, flee from the form of man, but gather round and prune their sunny feathers on the hands which little children stretch in friendly sport toward these dreadless partners of their play. All things are void of terror. Man has lost his desolating privilege and stands an equal amidst equals. Happiness and science dawn, though late, upon the earth. Peace cheers the mind. Health renovates the frame. Disease and pleasure cease to mingle here. Reason and passion cease to combat there. Whilst mind unfettered o'er the earth extends its all-subduing energies, and wields the sceptre of a vast dominion there. Mild is the slow necessity of death. The tranquil spirit fails beneath its grasp, without a groan, almost without a fear, resigned in peace to the necessity, calm as a voyager to some distant land, and full of wonder, full of hope as he. The deadly germs of languor and disease waste in the human frame, and nature gifts with choicest boons her human worshippers. How vigorous now the athletic form of age, how clear its open and unwrinkled brow, where neither avarice, cunning, pride, or care had stamped the seal of gray deformity on all the mingling lineaments of time. How lovely the intrepid front of youth, how sweet the smiles of taintless infancy. Within the massy prison's mouldering courts, fearless and free, the ruddy children play, weaving gay chaplets for their innocent brows with the green ivy and the red wall flower that mock the dungeon's unavailing gloom. The ponderous chains and gratings of strong iron there rust amid the accumulated ruins now mingling slowly with their native earth. There the broad beam of day, which feebly once lightened the cheek of lean captivity with a pale and sickly glare, now freely shines on the pure smiles of infant playfulness. No more the shuddering voice of hoarse despair peals through the echoing vaults, but soothing notes of ivy-fingered winds and gladsome birds and merriment are resonant around. The fanes of fear and falsehood hear no more the voice that once waked multitudes to war, thundering through all their aisles, but now respond to the death dirge of the melancholy wind. It were a sight of awfulness to see the works of faith and slavery, so vast, so sumptuous, yet withal so perishing. Even as the corpse that rests beneath their wall, 1,000 mourners deck the pomp of death today. The breathing marble glows above to decorate its memory, and tongues are busy of its life. Tomorrow, worms in silence and in darkness seize their prey. These ruins soon leave not a wreck behind. Their elements, wide scattered o'er the globe, to happier shapes are molded, and become ministrant to all blissful impulses. Thus human things are perfected, and earth, even as a child beneath its mother's love, is strengthened in all excellence, and grows fairer and nobler with each passing year. Now time, his dusky pennons o'er the scene, closes in steadfast darkness, and the past fades from our charmed sight. My task is done, thy lore is learned, earth's wonders are thine own, with all the fear and all the hope they bring. My spells are past, the present now recurs. Ah me, a pathless wilderness remains, yet unsubdued by man's reclaiming hand. Yet, human spirit, bravely hold thy course. Let virtue teach thee firmly to pursue the gradual paths of an aspiring change. For birth and life and death, and that strange state before the naked powers that throw the world wander like winds have found a human home. All tend to perfect happiness, and urge the restless wheels of being on their way, whose flashing spokes, instinct with infinite life, bicker and burn to gain their destined goal. For birth but wakes the universal mind, whose mighty streams might else in silence flow through the vast world, to individual sense of outward shows, whose unexperienced shape new modes of passion to its frame may lend. Life is its state of action, and the store of all events is aggregated there that variegate the eternal universe. Death is a gate of dreariness and gloom that leads to azure isles and beaming skies and happy regions of eternal hope. Therefore, O spirit, fearlessly bear on, though storms may break the primrose on its stalk, though frosts may blight the freshness of its bloom, yet spring's awakening breath will woo the earth, to feed the kindliest dews its favorite flower, that blooms in mossy banks and darksome glens, lighting the green wood with its sunny smile. Fear not then, spirit, death's disrobing hand, so welcome when the tyrant is awake, so welcome when the bigot's hell torch flares. 'Tis but the voyage of a darksome hour, the transient gulf dream of a startling sleep. For what thou art shall perish utterly, but what is thine may never cease to be. Death is no foe to virtue. Earth has seen love's brightest roses on the scaffold bloom, mingling with freedom's fadeless laurels there, and presaging the truth of visioned bliss. Are there not hopes within thee, which this scene of linked and gradual being has confirmed? Hopes that not vainly thou, and living fires of mind as radiant and as pure as thou, have shone upon the paths of men. Return, surpassing spirit, to that world, where thou art destined an eternal war to wage with tyranny and falsehood, and uproot the germs of misery from the human heart. Thine is the hand whose piety would soothe the thorny pillow of unhappy crime, whose impotence an easy pardon gains, watching its wanderings as a friend's disease. Thine is the brow whose mildness would defy its fiercest rage, and brave its sternest will, when fenced by power and master of the world. Thou art sincere and good, of resolute mind, free from heart-withering custom's cold control, of passion lofty, pure, and unsubdued. Earth's pride and meanness could not vanquish thee, and therefore art thou worthy of the boon which thou hast now received. Virtue shall keep thy footsteps in the path that thou hast trod, and many days of beaming hope shall bless thy spotless life of sweet and sacred love. Go, happy one, and give that bosom joy whose sleepless spirit waits to catch light, life, and rapture from thy smile. The demon called its winged ministers. Speechless with bliss, the spirit mounts the car that rolled beside the crystal battlement, bending her beamy eyes in thankfulness. The burning wheels inflame the steep descent of heaven's untrodden way. Fast and far the chariot flew. The mighty globes that rolled around the gate of the eternal fane lessened by slow degrees, and soon appeared such tiny twinklers as the planet orbs that, ministering on the solar power with borrowed light, pursued their narrower way. Earth floated then below. The chariot paused a moment. The spirit then descended, and from the earth departing, the shadow with swift wings speeded like thought upon the light of heaven. The body and the soul united then. A gentle start convulsed Ianthe's frame. Her veiny eyelids quietly unclosed. Moveless awhile, the dark blue orbs remained. She looked around in wonder and beheld Henry, who kneeled in silence by her couch, watching her sleep with looks of speechless love, and the bright beaming stars that through the casement shone.